I'm joined now by Congressman Ro Khanna. Thanks so much for taking the time.
Thanks, Brian. Always enjoy chatting.
So we have a major update from when we spoke just a couple of days ago, and that is on your bill that is going to be co-sponsored with Thomas Massie. Can you give a state of play in terms of the support that this bill might garner with Republicans?
Well, it's absolutely a game changer. Massie and I have worked together many times. We're teaming up on this effort. The bill would require the full release of the Epstein files and all of the evidence, of course, protecting victims and protecting the release of anything like child pornography. It's very precisely written. And we have the backing of all 212 Democrats. But here's what is incredibly encouraging. We already have 7 Republican co-sponsors, including people like Lauren Boebert, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Tim Buchheit. These are very, very conservative MAGA figures. And so we have the votes now to force a vote in the Congress on this bill. It requires the bill to be there for 7 days. Then you've got to get everyone to sign a discharge petition. So we can't force the vote until September, but we will be able to get this passed through the House.
Okay, so let's talk about an effort that might actually force this to come to the spotlight sooner than even that. There's going to be a vote today in the Rules Committee. Can you give an update on what's going to happen there?
Well, the Speaker, Leader Jeffries, is putting this up in a good way today, putting up my bill with Massie, saying, well, why don't we vote on it today? We've got 7 Republican co-sponsors. The Democrats are ready to vote on it. Let's get this done. Let's not wait through August recess. The challenge is it's the Speaker's Rules Committee, and they can block the vote. Of course, it'll be very clear then that the Speaker is blocking that vote. And then we will need to have a discharge petition, meaning requiring everyone to sign on demanding a vote. And that can't happen for another 7 days since introduction, means that can't happen until the August recess, means we can't force literally a vote until September. But this is going to put the Republicans on record again. Are they for the release or not?
What does it say that we keep having these efforts? This already happened once in the Rules Committee where they voted it down 5-7. It was already a failed effort in the House as well to attach it to the Genius Act, which is, by the way, Republican legislation, and that failed as well. There wasn't a single Republican who voted in favor of this. And so what does it say that we have effort after effort after effort where we're trying to compel Republicans to, by the way, just do the thing that they themselves claim that they wanted to do, staked so much of their reputations on doing that they won't do it, effort after effort after effort?
Well, it's exposing the hollowness of their campaign promises. They said they were going to take on the rich and powerful. They were going to hold them into account. These corrupt men who exploited and abused young girls, that they should not have impunity, and the Epstein files would be released. And they're betraying that promise. But I think it also says to Democrats how we can fight Trump effectively. It's not enough just to grandstand. It's not enough just to hurl insults back at him. We can actually legislatively partner with some of the MAGA base to expose the hollowness of Trump's promises. And so I introduced the First Amendment to the Genius Act. That failed. Then I said, okay, I'm going to partner with Massie and do a bill. And we're going to continue at it. Now we're partnering with the leadership to have this bill come for a vote this today, on Thursday. This is how we fight MAGA, through thoughtful, strategic legislation that partners with MAGA voters and says, look, that Donald Trump's not a real populist. We are, and we're actually a populist party that's going to deliver through the legislative process. I really believe that it's not enough to just be shouting at Trump, that we have to be strategic about how we're going to win back the trust of voters.
Completely agree. I have to ask, to what extent do you think that Trump's feud with Massie facilitated him joining you on this effort to co-sponsor this legislation?
I don't think it had anything to do with it. Thomas Massie and I have worked together to stop the war in Yemen. We've worked together to stop unconstitutional strikes in Iran. We've worked together against both Democratic and Republican presidents' overreach of authority. And he's a principled person. I disagree with him, but he's principled. And so when he saw that I was trying to get the release, he texted me. He said, I can help. I said, Thomas, are you going to be the only Republican? He said, no, this time I think I can get some of my colleagues. And he's gotten seven.
Yeah.
But he is a principled person. And I think that's why our partnership makes sense. And look, the reality is for Democrats to be able to win back the House and win back the country, we can't just be yelling at every Republican and every MAGA supporter. What we need to do is
Right.
figure out how do we partner with them
Yep.
on issues where it makes sense and expose the hollowness of Donald Trump.
Right. If this effort already has 7 Republicans who've signed on in a House that's split by just 3 votes, this thing will eventually be a done deal. And so why do you think that even in the Rules Committee, knowing that this thing is going to happen, what's the point for them? What's the strategic advantage in just delaying this? And by the way, delaying the news cycle even more, adding more days that we can just talk about this when it's basically an inevitability that come August, this thing is gonna be revealed by virtue of your bill.
Well, delay is the operative word. That's the tactic in Washington for anything. They want to delay. They want to give Trump time to do a release, to see what more they can do to try to quell this issue, so that their hope is by the time we come back in early September and have a vote, this issue goes away. Either the media interest goes away, or Trump does something that satisfies his base. I think they're wrong unless Trump does release all the files, in which case that's great, and we would have been effective. But that's
Right.
really their hope. They know that a vote today would be deeply embarrassing. I mean, it would be the president's own party calling him out on
Right.
the floor of the Congress.
I mean, doesn't delay also, at least from a political perspective, hurt him more? Because it's not like this thing is going away. Maybe they're hoping it goes away, but we've spoken about the Epstein files day after day after day. And if they want to allow this discharge petition to play itself out, and it's a pretty slow process, relatively speaking, doesn't that just mean that we're going to be speaking about it every day until this thing actually happens?
Well, that's on the Democratic Party. We have to make sure that we are speaking about it. I know some people say, well, why are you talking about the Epstein files? People are losing their health care. They're being deported without due process. We are having international students being sent home. We're having an attack on our universities, an attack on science funding, an attack on our veterans. And I said the reason we have to speak about this is because it's about trust in government, and it's a betrayal of trust. And we have to speak about things that Americans care about and are telling us is on their mind. We can't just say, hey, you shouldn't care about something when people care about it. And so it's for the Democrats to have a boldness to not drop this issue. And that's why
Yeah.
I've been relentless this week and will continue to be relentless until we get the files released. But if we don't speak about it, if we aren't strategic about it, then this thing could just disappear and people not held to account. We have to show leadership on it.
Perfectly put. And that is exactly what you're doing. And by the way, the percentage of Americans, according to a YouGov poll, that don't want the full release of the Epstein file is all of 4%. That's according to a poll on July 15th. So if you're wondering whether this is an issue that you're correct in harping on, clearly the polling reflects that it is. And finally, I want to get your response to a tweet that was sent out by some right-wing influencer, Tim Pool, who's operating in as bad faith as you possibly could. He wrote, absolutely insane that Democrats actually voted to have U.S. government publish child porn. WTF is even going on anymore. And of course, he was community noted on Twitter. It's the note says the Khanna amendment does not compel the government to publish child pornography. This is a misreading of the legislation. The sponsor himself noted that the Department of Justice would of course protect victims' identities. So can I have your reaction to this bad faith effort by some of these right-wing influencers who are just, in the Trump camp trying to do everything they can to misrepresent the situation and, I guess, carry water for Trump in his effort not to get this stuff released?
Well, I know Tim Pool. I've gone on Tim Pool's podcast, and as soon as I saw the tweet, I said, Tim, let's talk about it. And I went on his podcast, which more Democrats need to do, actually, to have conversations with influencers. And we had a great conversation. And Tim said, okay, so your amendment doesn't do anything to have victims and names come out. I said, no, Tim, it doesn't. It doesn't require the release of child porn. I said, no, it doesn't. He said, okay, then I understand that. But can you make that explicit in your bill with Massie? And
Yeah.
I did. And so he has now said that he supports the effort because it's explicit in the bill. And what we need to do is have the patience to have these conversations with MAGA voters, many of whom are just disgusted by what's going on, and win them on our side with reason and persuasion. And that's why I think we're going to have a big majority, and this is our path back to earning the trust of the American people.
Well, Congressman, thank you for your leadership on this issue and for keeping this in the spotlight like you have. Appreciate your time today.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you for your work.